Hello, this is Opus Night, and you have entered Night Vision. And tonight we have Madison with us, and Madison has joined us before, and we're going to talk about the business in general. How's that? We're going to have a deep, incensed conversation about the business of publishing. Okay. Madison, how are you this evening?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am good. So what's been going on as far as publishing?
Um,
Your book. Tell us. Now, what is your book? Remind them who haven't been privy before.
My book is Releasing Her Power Within. It is the first book in the Phase Shifter series. It follows Liz, the main female character, as she meets her one of her mates and discovers a family secret that almost leads to her death. She's attacked a couple of times, almost losing her life before she comes into her own magic. And she kind of discovers more about herself and her family along the path. And discovers she's also got to help save more than just herself at the end of the book. And it kind of leaves room for book 2 to take place and begin.
So book 2, is it in the works?
It is actually published. I am working on book 4 in the series currently, and it is called The Blood Kings.
Wonderful.
Way out there.
And what is book 3?
So book 2 is Unleashed. Book 3 is Revealed. They both continue to follow Liz as her powers develop. She meets her second mate, discovers there's more to her crazy family than she originally discovered. And her family has a knack for trying to kill each other, turns out. And she kind of continues on and has to fight more of her family who are their royal fae. So they're stronger than the typical fae. And she's got to figure out how to stop them and set all of her people free. And then book 4 is coming along, and she's facing an ancient evil that is surprisingly not related to the family. But this evil, the Blood King is who he is, has been around since the beginning of time, since the creation of all the worlds. And they've got to find a way to stop him before he tries to take over all the realms and destroy and enslave everybody again.
It sounds wonderful.
It is.
So, did you have fun writing it?
It's almost done. But yes, I have enjoyed writing this series so far. It's kind of taken me out of all the chaos of the world that's been going on and all the pandemic stuff and keeping my anxiety with all of that at bay.
So the box set. Now, I know a lot of viewers do not know how to go about doing the box sets. Who do they get in touch with, and how did you work that in as far as where would it be available to be able to do that?
I will have the box set available as soon as book 4 is finished. It will be available on Amazon. I haven't completely decided if it's going to be in Kindle Unlimited or not yet. I'm still working on a good cover for the whole series of books altogether. But it will be available on Amazon when it's ready.
Now, did you individually do a different cover for each one of the books?
I did.
You did?
Yes.
Now, do you have your own designer, or do you do it yourself?
This series, I have done the covers myself. My husband has helped me a little bit. We've used Adobe Photoshop and a couple other of their apps to mash up everything, and it's been a learning process as we go. We kind of have a tight budget when it comes to things, and I feel like editing is more of a priority over something I can kind of self-teach and self-learn in a way. Because I also troubleshoot issues. I'll just use Google and make it work as best as I can.
Now, writer's block is a real thing to a lot of writers that they experience, whether they're first time, last time, or well, down the line writers. Have you ever experienced such?
Oh yeah, definitely. And it is a pain in the butt. I will definitely say that. It's really hard to break out of it I have struggled to break out of it myself and kind of find myself slipping into it at times. But what I do is I try my best to get out in nature for a little bit or just take a break, go for a walk. A lot of times I'll travel out into the country to my parents' house. They live on a lot of land, and I'll just go out and stay in the woods for a couple of hours and just not think about my books, not think about writing. And then it kind of rejuvenates me a little bit. When I'm not able to do that, I take a break and start deep cleaning stuff and just get rid of things. Kind of like a purge, and it changes my atmosphere, which kind of clears my head and gets any negativity I have that's causing a blockage out. So there's that too.
Now, are you interested in taking your books towards them becoming movies, or is it something that you only see, like I personally only see my books as books? And I mean, I've had friends that have been, oh, you should consider. Nice thought. No, I'm that person that a book is a book and a movie is a movie. How do you feel about it?
I agree with you on that. A movie and a book, they should be separate. Like, it's almost like how they turned one of my favorite series, Harry Potter, for example. They made the movies out of that, but they left so much out. Like, tons and tons of stuff was left out of those books. With me, I don't know if I'd want my books to be movies. Now, would I turn it down if somebody offered to be like, hey, we want to turn your book into a movie. We'll give you this amount of money kind of thing. I might, but right now it's definitely no. I don't need that stress right now.
Now, are you one of those writers that everything has to be a specific way? Like, I know people do the outlines. Okay, because we've discussed that before. Are you a pantser? Are you an outline kind of person? But by nature, when you're writing, like I said, I can write in the woods, and you were speaking of the woods. Is that some place that you find where you become very creative, and you're kind of in tune a little bit more, or do you get the spirit whenever it hits you? How what is your process?
I will definitely say I'm more of a pantser. I'll try to do like a rough outline that I veer away from. But I do get my creativity from being outside. I've had to kind of improvise, living in a suburban area. I don't get to get out in nature as much as I'd really like to. So I kind of write when I kind of feel the creativity flowing. But I have, now that it's warming up, I've been able to get outside more, and my creativity is higher. It's flowing better. And I guess that really does make a big difference being outside. I could totally sit outside for 8 hours and just type and have no issue with it. So yeah, I guess being outdoors does help my creativity a lot.
Now, on character development, how do you go through that process? Do you first come up with the names? Do you first come up with their character traits? Do you have different scenarios for them that you are, trying to navigate through this story? Or do you plot your story? This is specifically how this goes and that goes. How is your process on that?
I think the characters kind of develop first, and then the storyline follows suit. Just kind of an idea of their personalities and whether they mesh. I tend to mix in a lot of romance with my paranormal and fantasy stuff. So it kind of starts with the idea of two people and just goes from there. Like, their story develops around them. Their backstory develops after like the main situation takes like form in my head. And I just kind of like stick it all together as a write.
Now, have you done the convention circuit or any of the different venues?
I have not yet.
So you're looking forward to that. I think a lot of people are. As soon as the world kind of goes back to normal, that's the first thing that I think we're going to find. There's going to be a mad rush. Now, have you ever went to like a coffee shop, and are you your personality, is it where you'll sit down and write in that situation, or do you actually have a physical office and write from there? Or do you actually write on the typewriter as opposed to write it out by hand?
I do more. I write a lot of stuff out by hand, but I try not to write too much out by hand because I have to put it in the computer later. But I do enjoy going and sitting at a coffee shop and writing it out. I can just tune stuff out. I used to do my homework and stuff at a coffee shop in college, and I don't know how I can tune it out because if I go to a restaurant, I can't tune stuff out like that. But at a coffee shop, I can relax and just sip on my coffee and type away. Now I don't get that option as much right now because I have my son and the pandemic situation. It's a little iffy going to a coffee shop. People just kind of stare and look at you funny if you're there longer than a certain time. But I would rather just have my own little area if I can get it and type.
Now, what type of prose do you enjoy? Or should I ask, what type of story? If you sit down and you go to read a story, is it the same within the same genre? And I ask that because a lot of people you'll find, especially writers, they're kind of in tune with a specific type, which kind of surprises me because I'm one of those people that's all over the place. If I read something, I like it, I'm going to remember and go back to find that writer. Now, how do you sort through that as far as what is your path on reading?
I'm a little all over the place myself. I'll read pretty much anything if it catches my eye and it sounds good. But I do find myself, if I'm in a slump or I just want to get completely engrossed in something where the world tunes out and I just binge read, I lean towards shifter romances or stuff with Faye, like Sarah J. Maas, her books. The Throne of Glass series is one of my favorites. I like to reread that one when I'm in a funky mood and it just takes me away from life. So
are you a big time reader? Do you
oh yeah,
a lot? Because I know
I do.
I know that we have one upstairs. It looks like a mini library. And it's so funny because when I'm writing, I think to myself, sometimes I'll glance over and I'm like, I write completely different than anything I've read on this shelf. So I really need to go shopping and broaden my broaden my library. Now, are your books, are you looking for them to go into the libraries?
At some point, yes, that would be awesome. I've actually talked to one of my English teachers. Well, she's not an English teacher anymore. Back in high school, she was one of my favorite teachers. She's now the librarian at my high school. And I've kind of talked to her a little bit about donating some of my books to the library there. But I've been hesitant because they're not exactly for like readers under like 15, 16. So I don't know if they have a certain section now for them that books like that would be separated off or what. But I've held off a little bit on giving them to her because of that reason. But she's willing to take as many as I'll give. So I figure that's a start.
Now, as far as when you're doing dialogue, what is the easiest dialogue? Is it a child? Is it an adult? Which character do you find that you kind of just excel on the dialogue?
I would definitely say an adult. I haven't written very much with children in it. And I say that, but I'm fixing to have like a child dialogue setup coming up in the section I'm going to be writing soon in The Blood King. I meant to sit down and work on it today, but I ended up not getting to. But that's going to be the first time I've actually really dialogued a child speaking with other adults and characters in a book.
Now, what do you find is the hardest part of dialogue? Like what will kind of put you back as far as, is it when a scene gets becomes intense or has tension, or is it something where it's a happy-go-lucky scene? Because I know writers who are on both spectrum, they're kind of on both sides of the spectrum.
I think the happy-go-lucky scenes are more of a struggle for me because intense scene, I have to slow my thought process down because I see it acting out in my head and the characters are going back and forth, or there's more than one character and they're arguing. That's easier for me to play out versus I have to go lucky scene. It's like, okay, like, is this portraying what I want them to see? It's just harder for me to put it into words versus an intense scene.
Now, do you find that you had said that you went to college? Do you find that your experience with going on with learning as far as college level, do you believe that that is enhanced, or has your English teacher actually enhanced or broadened, your writing skills, or do you think it's something that anybody can do?
I definitely think anybody can do it. I mean, I mostly, their focus on college was how to write a certain paper a specific way, more so than anything. I didn't learn anything about creating dialogue or anything like that much in college. And that may have just been specifically my degree, but I don't feel like it made much of a difference in whether I can write fantasy novels or not.
And when you had to write a thesis in college, I'm assuming you did.
Once or twice, yeah.
Okay. Were they tough as far as, because there is what I consider mechanical writing, which is a specific writing that you automatically have to do. Do you know what I mean? Or produce. Like, yeah. College, they'll give you a topic, run with it. And when it comes to creating your own worlds and your own characters and your own dialogue and their traits and characteristics, and how do you feel as far as, do you think there's some dynamic between those different writings? That, because there's the reason for the question is there is a lot of new authors that have been going to like higher learning as far as continuing on with writing schools. They're taking different classes, and even in some of the writing groups, they have writing groups that are set up. Their whole premise is to have one of the instructors come in and teach them. Now, what do you think as far as the mechanical part of it? Do you think that it's easier to have a story that someone kind of tells you about to write? Or do you find that your creative side comes over and you're kind of, no, I can't do this. I have to go my own way and write my own kind of.
Yeah. My creativity takes me a different direction. Now, can I do it? I'll do it. Yes. But my mind tries to take it different directions than what they'd prefer it to be.
Now, see, I'm one of those people, I can't. When I am told specifically to do something, I kind of rebel, and there's always those additives that are going to come in. And I was always told, no, you're not writing a book. And I had heard that my whole life. You're not writing a book. It's not your book. Yeah. Stop trying to give them character traits. Stop trying to, create drama where there isn't, or tension or whatnot. And that's me. That's what, yeah,
it just happens.
Yeah. Now, as far as the back of your book, can you read the back of the book for those who have not heard it yet? I just want to get people up to speed so that
let me grab it real quick, because I totally forgot to grab it. I didn't realize I hadn't grabbed it until after we started. So
that's okay.
So this is the back of Releasing Her Power Within. This was my first book published, and it says, family secrets lead to an explosive discovery in this enthralling first installment. Things don't seem to add up, and her life is constantly threatened in the pursuit of love. Is there a way to find an answer for it all? Liz is your typical overworked physical therapy assistant. She loves her job, but has come to a time in her life where the stress from being overworked and the passing of her mother has left her with a sense of wanting. Adventure hasn't always been on her list of things to do, but it seems that this next chapter of her life may not exactly be what she had in mind. The cabin that was left for her when her mom passed was originally her grandmother's and has many stories to tell. Unfortunately for Liz, these stories reveal a tale that she was not quite ready for. After some thought and external pressures, Liz decides to make the leap and go the road less traveled. She moves to the cabin and takes the new job. With her renewed life, she also uncovers mysteries surrounding the cabin and her heritage. There's a shift in the winds. Can Liz come to understand it, or will the winds drown her out?
That is beautiful. Can we see the cover?
Yes.
Oh, that is lovely. I love it.
Thank you.
Now, what type of character kind of irks you as far as when you're writing the developmental process of that character, just his personality? There's something in there, whether it's his traits or his personality that see, my favorite characters are not just the villain, are not just the hero. They're the guy that kind of gets to that point. He's in pursuit of trying to be the good guy, but life pulls him back and makes him, vicious and kind of life turns him that way. Now, do you have characters that do that?
I would say so, yeah. One character, when you said, when you started that out, that came to mind was in this book, there's a character, her name is Tally. I'm going to try not to give any spoilers about her, but she's the antagonist of this first book. She starts out as a really whiny person. And I absolutely I did not like her character, but her character does change with the series. And I didn't like writing her character because she's not somebody I would actually like to get along with in real life. Very stuck up, very snobby. Everything's about her. Daddy's kind of catered to her entire life. She's got everything handed to her on a silver platter. And then Liz comes in and pretty much upturns her life, and things continue to aggravate Tally's life, but her character changes and she becomes a better person overall. But I hate writing super whiny characters like hers. And I didn't intend for her character to become stronger as the series has progressed, but she's changed a lot, but she's also been through a lot in the process. So
there are specific characters, character traits, I should say, that you're not going to like that character as you're writing it. Do you find that your own kind of internal dialogue creeps in there?
Yeah, it does.
I don't see how it's not possible.
It's not. I can't help it.
I have been there so many times, and I think to myself, my God, I hate you. You're a horrible person. And then through the process, you're writing and you're like, oh my God, this is my most favorite character. They will do something that just makes them shine,
Yes.
And I have a few different characters that I don't know. I love all my characters. Now, do you love all your characters, or is there?
I do.
One that you're like, you know what? If I could rate you out today, you're gone tomorrow.
It was her at first. And I've come to like her. And then there's two characters that are in this novel, the Blood King, that I'm kind of I'm not liking you guys, but I know I need you in the story. And I'm already planning on killing the boss. So I'm just yep, you guys are out of here, but I need you to do your part first.
Get out of here.
Yes.
Now, when you're writing, say a death scene, do you feel bad for the characters?
Yes, I do. And I try not to let myself feel that way because I'm I know this is really going to help. People are going to hate this, but they're going to love it at the same time.
I just
So
become evil because those are my favorite parts. I think to myself, like, I'll be out somewhere, and the first thing I think is, oh my God, this would make a perfect death scene. Like, I mean, there's certain things, no matter where you are or who you're around, that are going to trigger. So yeah, we're constantly in that writing mode. You know, every place you go becomes a scene.
Yes.
You know,
like,
or at least some idea.
Like, hey, yeah, they'll become a character.
I've seen an actual lamppost one day when we were out, and I thought it was the most magnificent setting for that lamppost, and the way it was just such a scenic, beautiful scene. Yeah. But that lamppost just made it bounce. It was just beautiful. And I thought, I have got to write about this. And I think everyone at the table was like, because I was just all of a sudden smacking the table, and they were like, I'm like, I want that lamppost. That lamppost is going on my neck. And they were dying. They're like, what is wrong with you? Because the conversation, do you find you're off topic or kind of zoned out during, no matter where you're at? You're like the first company in the room. Hello.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I can be having a conversation thinking about a character, and I'll be sitting there going, oh, I love your shoes. And the next thing I know is the lady at the next table is looking at me going, oh, well, thank you. I got them at such and such. And I give her this look like, you're not involved. Like, what are you doing? It's the worst thing.
Yes, it is. I did that to my friend the other day. We were having coffee. We sat down, and like somebody walked by, and I told her, it's just like, that would make a such and such, and just like totally took this conversation in a different direction. And just like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I'm like, I'm sorry, but
never on the page. Never, ever, ever on the page. Just not happening. Now, as far as when it comes to your character development, how long does one character take to process for you? For you to create them, not the drama of them, but just to create the character. Because I know I've been asked this question more than a few times in character development. How do you come up with these characters? And when do you know it's too much or it's enough? How do you stop building a character up or developing them?
That's a hard question. Really, I feel like all of my characters have continued to develop and grow. And I hope that with the end of this series that it also, when I do finally like finish this book, it's going to be so the Blood King is going to be the end of Liz's main story. There's going to be spinoffs on it, but I'm going to leave room for them to continue growing, but like leave it for readers to use their own imagination. Mm-hmm. Like kind of, it makes me think of how my English teacher would have us write or journal in high school and ask us to be like, so what do you think happens next, kind of thing. So I want to leave it for readers to use their imagination and come up with their own stuff. I guess in a way it could lead to like fan fiction and stuff that way too. So I guess they never really stopped developing though.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this. For those who do not know about fan fiction or what it is, can you kind of explain it to them?
I've never
take on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've never really written fan fiction myself. Now I've read it, but it's basically where I'm going to use Harry Potter because I am a Harry Potter, and I grew up reading the books, watching the movies, and there's a lot of people that will go and write like different spinoffs for different characters that happen from it, or like even go back in. So I'm going to use I can't remember her name. There's a girl on TikTok that's doing a spinoff of a certain character that is related to Bellatrix Lestrange, and she's kind of creating that person's life in her videos, and it's really cool because it's fun. It's a different character I don't know much about, and she's kind of creating this new world for this person and sharing like what she went through certain time periods of like within the book or before like Harry. And it's just really cool. So it's basically people are going and creating their own mashup of what comes from these people from these books. If that makes sense.
Now, yeah, no, I get it. Now, how far into fan fiction? Now, fan fiction, they're shorter books. You see, I'm not one that has indulged. You know, I'm this super, 10,000 page. What am I saying? 10,000 page. What the huge novels, like historical kind of novels, those are my go-tos.
Yeah.
So when you have something around 700 pages, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Fan fiction is what, 30,000? Is that correct? Words?
Maybe. I don't know the number off the top of my head. I'd have to look. So, but it's shorter stuff.
It is shorter. Okay. Just for fans that are kind of listening, they, for people for their own kind of knowledge of it. Now, where can we find you on, you said Amazon? Do you have a website? Do you want to?
I do. www.thechaptergoddess.com is my website. It's got all of my work listed, a bio and everything. I also have links to all of my social media available through the website and also for my newsletter, which I send that out every Monday for my readers and subscribers. And there's always like at least one giveaway going with it. It's pretty fun. It kind of keeps readers in the know of what's going on with me and my books.
Now, do you find that the newsletters help, drive business your way, like readership?
I do. I've had quite a few people actually get books through my newsletter, like use the links to go to my books. So I'd say, yeah.
Curious, yeah, because I've heard both good and bad with the newsletters. Some say it's going to become obsolete soon. So I was just kind of curious. Well, it's been lovely having you on, as always.
Yes.
And thank you for coming back.
No problem.
We are so excited that you have not only 1, 2, 3, 4 books now, which is amazing. Good for you.
Thank you.
You have a lovely night, honey.
You
and
too.
We'll see everyone soon. Okay.
All right. Thank
Good
you.
night. You're welcome.